There is absolutely nothing that keeps you with a friend. Nothing. It is only ever a conscious choice. And when they are long distance, you take that conscious choice to the power of 10.
You're listening to the All In Wellness Approach podcast.
This is your wellness, your life. So just one question.
Are you ready to go all in?
What's up, AIWA Nation? Amanda here. My guest today is military wife, mom of 2, and your self-proclaimed get your shit together friend. She has also lived through her own health journey, struggling with her weight and how to find balance in a life where she moves through deployments, constant moving, motherhood, and that kind of life that forces you to rebuild yourself over and over. New cities, new seasons, new people, and how are you expected to start from scratch socially like it's nothing? Today, we're talking with Jess Humphrey about adult friendships, what constant relocation does to connection and identity, why community gets harder as we get older, even in healthy, full lives, and what it actually takes to rebuild friendships, relationships that feel real when life keeps moving. Welcome to the studio.
Hey, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
So let's dive in to how many friendships do you think ended not necessarily because anything went wrong, but because it felt safer to just keep it surface instead of going deep because you always know that you're moving?
I would say through the last 14 years of the military life, it has been all of them but one so far. And that is a friend that I still have back in Germany. But I will say just the other day, my husband asked me, hey, when's the last time you talked to so-and-so? And I'm honestly, I don't know, because proximity runs out. And then so does commonalities and day-to-day life. And you just kind of move on. Not intentionally, but it does happen.
With all of that, you've been moving around. And when you move, you're not only in a new location and trying to keep that, you've got a long distance, literally everything. Not only do you then, when your husband's deployed, doing long distance with him, but you're doing long distance in every aspect of your life. So to create friendships or to keep them alive, and then the risk of starting over, how do you manage, oh, I'm in a new place. How do I make new friends here?
I really think it comes down to first finding a routine and then finding people along that routine. The people that you see in your day-to-day become like your circle if you allow it. I mean, typically in the past, again, 14 years, I really haven't even allowed that to happen either. From being in foreign countries in the throes of raising 2 kids and husband in and out all the time due to work, my circle really was just me and my kids. And then anything that I did when they were older was typically done on a military base. And my gym that I went to when I lived overseas was on a military base. And it is like headphones, hoodies up, like nobody's talking to anybody anyway. The circle just doesn't really happen in that setting.
You got really vulnerable on your social media about this topic in the fact that your survival mode was just, nope, I'm not going to connect with anyone. I'm just going to stay in my bubble, my little bunker with my family because that feels safer because I know we're leaving. And now you've been able to be in a season where you've made probably one of your strongest friendships and other friendships too, and connected into a gym and into a community, and you're about to have another change again. So tell us about that voice you felt like you made, and now that you have the hindsight kind of, oh man, I didn't allow myself to. And what did you call it? It was like the heartbreak, like choosing
to break my own heart. Yeah, I remember talking about that on my socials because it's something that's truly talked about enough as a military spouse. And that's not limited to just a military wife. It also is for the husbands who have a wife in the service and so forth and so on. But when I would move, you have to make the decision, am I going to be me, myself, and I with my family? Or am I going to choose to break my own heart? And when I lived overseas, I met one very good friend, the one that I still talk to this day. And leaving there, it was leaving a place that I loved, but I didn't have any connections to the place. I just had the one person. It was a heartbreak, and it kind of gave me like that taste of what it would feel like to not be alone and have somebody around me in a place that I'm temporarily living. It sucked, but it wasn't awful. and her husband just recently retired, and, it's like, oh, okay, this isn't forever. I can see the other side of things. When we moved here into Texas, I came from being in a foreign country with small kids. Now they're a little older. We moved here and I immediately fell in love with the area. A little tidbit about me: if I'm cold, I'm grumpy, and being in Texas, I'm like, this is nice. I can just bask in the sun like the lizard I am at heart.
Yeah.
And that came first. I just truly was like, wow, I love this area. Everything is here. I love the weather. I love the climate. Everybody warned me, when you move to Texas, just buckle up for the heat. You're not going to like the heat like you say you do. And there was not a moment where I was like, oh, it's too hot here. No, not at all. I love it. So that came first. And then I knew that I loved the area. I'm settling in and it felt like home. Like, okay, this actually feels like I could live here forever. And nowhere else have I actually felt that gut sensation of home as an adult.
I feel like that more of just like this kind of peace where you don't feel like your shoulders are tense.
Yes, or that you're constantly looking over your shoulder. Who's around, who's watching me, all the things. And
I almost relate it to the wedding dress situation. They're like, you'll just know.
You'll just
like,
know.
What is that feeling like for people? And I think it's probably different for everybody, but if you could tangibly explain what that felt like physically, emotionally, and watching your kids too, realize, okay, this might be our forever.
It felt instinctive. I am supposed to be here. That it didn't take much effort and work to feel comfortable in the daily routines and the grocery stores and Target and little things like that. Talking to people. I wasn't the headphones on, hoodie up, shut out the world person. I actually wanted to be involved. It felt like, okay, I want to be present here and I want people to know who I am here. And nowhere have I ever lived somewhere where I go into a grocery store and somebody recognizes me.
Yeah.
Nobody. If somebody's calling my name anywhere else that I've ever been, it's not for me. It's because somebody else is there and named the same name. And it has happened to me on numerous occasions here. Just little things like that. So many people, I don't want to say take for granted, because if that is your day-to-day life, you wouldn't see it. But for me, it's, whoa, I never realized how good it feels to be known somewhere by someone other than who lives at your address. And that's a cool feeling. All of that just kind of went into the feeling of home. And then when I felt I was at home, and it was like, okay, well, I want to have a place, so I found my gym. My daughter's in gymnastics. She found her gym. I found friends through social media and through work, and truly have built a home within a community as well.
And like a chosen family.
A chosen family, and people who I trust with my kids. And that is extremely hard to come by. This is another little thing that a lot of people don't have. My kids were homeschooled for 2 years, so friendships came because my friends had kids, and so they would be like built-in friends. Now they've gone to school and they've both had birthdays. They've never had birthday parties where it was full of friends, and they have been able to experience that living here. Roman, actually, my son, who is 8, made a comment. He was like, oh, I won't be able to have my friends at my birthday party. And I'm like, oh my God.
You should do one before y'all leave.
I think that we will, because that's tough.
To kind of touch on the lifestyle that is being a military spouse, you're married, but you're single parenting most of the time. You and your daughter Harper can be close, but there's a piece missing when a little dude doesn't have a dad. I think people love to create their own narrative around what they think your life is like, but give us the real on what that is when you're like, okay, I'm married to somebody, but I'm also single parenting. They're coming in and out of our lives. These kids are growing and developing. He needs his dad, but I've got to be here to do it all until he gets back.
It can be a challenge. When he's home, I am able to sit back and be a mom and a wife, and whatever else is just chosen on top of that. I am able to just kind of go with the normal family flow. We find a flow and get into. And then as soon as he leaves, it all changes, because now I am everything for everyone all the time. Not only does that just get overwhelming for me, but it's also this dramatic shift for the kids and their stability. And so it's kind of a catch-22, because you get this routine and you're like, okay, I am the shit right now because I have this all together. We are in routine. The kids are at school. I'm working out. I feel great. We're eating good meals. We're here on time. The house is clean.
You're in the groove of single parenting.
Yes, I'm in this flow state. I'm good. I got this. And then you get the call, hey, I'm coming home in a month. And you're like, yes, finally. Life literally is not the same since before you left. I don't even feel like the same person at times because I've been wearing all these different hats and now I'm used to it. And so what do I even do? You know, what does my day-to-day look like when you come home? And it's not in a sense of you're just in the way, but also kind of you are respectfully in the way until we weave that back together.
Yeah.
You know, because now he needs attention. It's not just the kids going with my flow, it's him going with my flow, me going with his flow and the kids. It adds like a whole nother cog into the machine here. And you do have a hard time in the beginning trying to figure out how it all fits together while making sure everyone is happy, healthy, taken care of, and doesn't feel like you came home and everything just went to shit because that it can feel like that. And you don't want it to feel that way. And you also have to realize that he's also been on his own for 6 months, no wife, no kids to take care of. After the long day, he can sit and watch TV if he wants to without any interruptions.
It's like this decompression time.
Yeah.
He's trying to decompress from being gone and just wanting to be around you guys, but also that comes with its own stimulation that he's not used to. You are trying to be kind to that, but also like, hey, this has to keep going, and trying to do all the things all at once where you get to that groove, but that first few weeks is probably like dating again. Oh yeah, hey, we like each other.
Yeah. Oh, I am married and don't have to do this by myself. Remember when you like first move in with your person for the first time in the first few months, you're like,
did we do the right thing?
Realize you did that. Why do you do that? You know, it's like doing that over and over and over again. All those little tiny things that you just learn to live with and you forget about refresh themselves. And I mean, it goes for him too, because he is personally the neat freak of our family, and the living room is nice, but
my
the
husband's
closet, that is none of my
too.
business. His side is neat and orderly, as if, you know, some person came in and organized it professionally.
Military.
Yeah, mine looks like a scene of Twister. I mean, it's fine. I know where everything is. Those are little things where he's like, so where's the other shoe? Over there in the corner. I'll get there, you know? But there is definitely a reintegration process where you're like, smile, it's going to be okay. Yeah. But it's something that you if you acknowledge it and communicate about it, like, hey, this is weird because usually at 8:30, I'm not sitting on the couch drinking coffee. I'm gone by the day. I'm gone. I'm at the gym. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And I just feel like I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. What am I supposed to do now? But if you just keep those communication lines open, it's much better, much easier. You don't hold any sort of resentment that could come up because of it. And you can unintentionally blame that person, because I've been there. With that being said, with him coming home very soon, it's like, okay, we're going to communicate these things and have this open dialogue so that it doesn't get to a point where it's negative energy at all.
And it's good that you know that now, because you guys have been doing this for how long?
14 years.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're a little seasoned, but that doesn't necessarily make it easier.
No.
But you're at least more aware of things, where I think maybe for younger couples just starting on this journey of being married and in the military, they're going to take a lot, I think, from hearing your experience. I wish that we could have Mitch on so that he could share it from the guy's side too. I think knowing you now and seeing where you're at, people make assumptions and they probably think, oh, you've just always had this together. But I know your story, and I would love for you to share the health part of all of this. That's another inspiring piece that I would love to hear, like, in depth from you from the beginning. Where were you at and what kicked you into where you are now?
I became a mom in 2014 and we got married in 2013. So it was just like marriage, mom immediately, you know, and for close to about a decade, my life wasn't my own, and it would be easy to argue, well, you allowed it that way. But it is really hard when you are throw in all of the constant moves, throw in marriage, but not a conventional marriage because it's military marriage. Now you're a mom, and it becomes very default to care for everyone else except yourself. Because at the end of the day, when you lay your head down at night, you want your husband happy, you want your kids happy and healthy. And that feels like it's all of your responsibility.
I think it's relatable for anyone in any circumstance
Mhm.
when you love someone and you're like, okay, I love this person. I want to do life with them. Yes, you chose them, but you have no idea what the real details of that life are until you're in the weeds of it.
Yeah.
And so when people are like, oh, you know what you signed up for? Yes and no. I
Yes.
think we all
No.
can look at our relationships and be like, ooh, I wasn't aware that that was coming, but you love this person and to build that life with them, there has to be some sort of sacrifice on both sides for a healthy
100%.
relationship. But in the military, it's a lot more weighted on the lifestyle part, I think, for both, where one has a lack of lifestyle and the other one has to maintain it for everybody. So for you to maintain a healthy lifestyle for yourself, you kind of were stripped of an identity.
150%. I had my daughter in 2014 and I had my son in 2017. In 2017, when I had my son, he was deployed and he didn't even meet Roman until he was 2 months old. Dealing
so
with
hard.
that was brutal. 0 out of 10 stars. Never again.
Do not recommend.
Do not recommend. When I had Roman, Harper was 2 years and 10 months old, so almost 3, but those 2 months, it makes a big difference when they're toddlers, how independent they are and so forth and so on. But he came home, Harper was about to turn 3, and I had a newborn. And I was in the 100% trenches. I would kind of really had to relearn who my husband was as well. And he, as a dad of 1 daughter, came home to a dad of 2, now has a son, and a wife who is just in the throes of motherhood. There was no center focal point other than survival. And this is from my point of view. I mean, I was into survival mode. It was make sure everyone's fed, and that's it. I honestly feel like some of my brain has blocked out any of those years because it was borderline traumatic in the sense of trying to figure it all out while keeping myself going. But it got to the point where in 2019, I got on the scale and saw the number. And, here we are 2 years postpartum. So that's no longer my excuse because it's been 2 years. And I saw the scale and I was higher than what I was the day I delivered Roman. Something about that just triggered me into do not want to do this anymore. I'm tired of feeling really terrible about myself and not having self-worth and confidence. I mean, we're talking negative confidence on a scale. Self-worth did not exist. Like you can't even talk about confidence until you have
I think people
self-worth.
look at you now and they're like, oh, she must be, she's always been confident. And you had to build this. You
I had to build it
do the work.
from the ground up.
I remember you telling me that you looked in the mirror and you literally were gray.
Yes.
It was literally surviving, but also not. Surviving on the way towards death.
Yes.
Not creating any sort of longevity. It was just, oh, I'm doing what I need to survive, but also then maybe having that moment of, if I do this, I won't be able to.
Right.
Like,
and I mean, things were popping up, health issues were coming up. Looking back at those pictures, I mean, it gives me chills thinking about me in 2020 compared to today. If 2020 could see me right now, they'd be like shaking in their boots. Girl, no, we're not getting on nobody's podcast. That's terrifying, If you want to be confident, you have to do the work. Coming from somebody who's been on both ends of a spectrum, you can look at somebody in your 0 confident self and be like, oh my gosh, they have it all together. They must feel so confident and so amazing. And that person could be struggling the same as you are. But I truly had to build it from the ground up.
I think it started with being aware of how you were fueling yourself.
Yeah.
Because you said I was just basically making sure everyone was fed, but feeding yourself wasn't actually food.
No, it was leftover chicken nuggets or pancakes or
Protein
whatever
bars
was in the pantry, protein bars. In 2020, unrelated to the pandemic, because a lot of people started their fitness journey because of that. It was really 2 months before that happened.
Still in Germany at the time, so paint the full picture.
Okay. We were in North Carolina,
okay.
And we had been in North Carolina for quite some time. I bounced back and forth during his deployment, but our home was in North Carolina, and we knew a move was coming because he was going from enlisted to officer, and a move comes with that. We knew we were moving, and it was probably November of 2019 that I made that decision. No freaking more. I deserve better from myself, and slowly eased into it and just was more mindful of my food at first. And it worked, very uneducated, nobody in my corner. I didn't hire anybody. I bought no programs. I just Googled. I just did at-home YouTube workouts and body weight, just doing it like that. If I timelined all of my moves, it would be all over the place. So from May to November 2020, we lived in Virginia. I started walking and running because we no longer lived in a tiny apartment complex. We lived in a neighborhood. So I had space. I could run and walk, and my husband would take me out. He's like, "You want to learn how to run? Let me take you to the track." And that just sounded like my own personal hell. I don't want to go to the track with you.
And sometimes when your partner is supportive, but they seem so far in front of where you are, the support is lovely, but also it can also kind of be defeating too.
Yes. But also my mindset had got to the point where I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. I'm going to do it because I'm competitive and I want to win. And if there's something that I can accomplish, I'm going to try. And I was running distance. I'm a 5K for fun. And so I said, yeah, you go to the track. And he did this exercise, and if you want to learn how to run, this is what you need to do. Timed laps. Get each lap under 2 minutes, and you have a 90-second rest in between each lap. And you think it sounds like a long time until you're on that third, fourth, fifth, sixth lap. And you do it until you're not making time anymore. And then the next time I got 5 laps this time. Next time you're going for 6 and 7. And then we're doing sprints. And it was brutal.
Went from that number on the scale right into running, which is a very hard transition.
A very hard transition. I was very deflated when I first started running because getting even a 12-minute mile was pushing it. That was tough. And now I feel like I can speed walk a 12-minute mile, which is just so cool to look back and see like where you come from to where you are now. But it was a challenge. And then when we moved to Germany, everything was shut down. There was nothing to do. And I did find one friend there who also had 2 little kids. None of our kids were of school age yet. So I scoured Facebook Marketplace and found dumbbells and anything that I could find, resistance bands. And we would load them up in the trunk and go to the track for the day. Truly for the day. Bikes, scooters, dumbbells. And I'm pretty sure if you scroll back on my Instagram, you'll find pictures of that. And we would write our own little workouts using YouTube workouts. That is when I was working out a ton and doing great, but I developed this really poor relationship with food in the midst of it. Everything that I ate needed to be earned in my mind. And if it wasn't healthy, I was going to be fat again. That's how my brain worked. If I ate cake or donut or cookies or ice cream or any of that, I would go right back to that number on the scale. I had lost at that point about 30 pounds, and I survived on protein bars. And in the midst of that, I also gained cystic acne, extreme bloating, really bad hormonal issues and cycle issues, to the point where I couldn't get out of bed during that time of the month. And of course, it couldn't be the protein bars that I was eating because I'm eating healthy. So I ended up talking to a friend, and the friend was like, "What are you eating?" And I'm like, "These. Breakfast, lunch, dinner." And if it was a snack, it was something that's not healthy.
Yeah, everything processed.
Everything processed. Every now and then dinner would be healthy dinner, but that doesn't count. Every now and then will never get you anywhere you want to be. And so then I said, oh yeah, that's probably not the right idea, and started eating real food again, but I was intuitively eating. And unless you know what you're truly doing, intuitive eating is a very good excuse of eating what you want and what you feel like eating. So then I gained some weight back. I gained probably 15 pounds back. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not working. I have to eat these protein bars if I ever want to be skinny again. Just this huge, just ups and downs of what wellness looked like in that season of life. And the kids ended up going to school. I started going to the gym, and it was always to just shrink, only and ever to just shrink. The number on the scale, the way my clothes fit, whatever it was, I just wanted to be tiny. And then I finally started working with a nutritionist who focused on nutrition with women's health. And that gave me the best baseline for what nutrition and wellness looks like for a woman wanting to be healthy and be well and do so in a way that is practical.
Teach you that the goal isn't just
To
size.
shrink.
Yeah, to
No,
get
like,
small. The
you
goal is to
want
be well.
skeletal muscle. Like, you
Mhm.
don't want to just be tiny, because then you're going to be 70 with zero strength and mobility because you're just frail, or with autoimmune issues and so forth and so on. So that gave me a really good baseline of what's healthy, what's not, what that looks like. A cookie won't kill you. And really, I took that and went super strict for a long time just to get myself into that habit. And now I'm at such a good place. I don't feel like, oh gosh, I have to earn that. Oh, I'm going to do 2 workouts today because I know tomorrow I'm going to a birthday party. That does not exist anymore. And it's so freeing. And with that, it is so simple. It is moving your body and eating real food. And the number on the scale today, I pay attention to it, but also not really. It's more how my clothes fit. If I feel good and confident and healthy in the way that I appear, we're good to go.
And allowing the time for those consistent changes to set in to produce the progress.
Yes. And it took me such a long time because I was just on this roller coaster event where if you just do it the right way the first time, move your body, eat right, supplement where it needs to be supplemented, it can happen so much faster. It's not an overnight fix by any means, but it doesn't take a decade almost to get your shit together. If you just do it the right way the first time, don't starve yourself.
Yes. And that you creating your pillars to carry with you, I think, as you move, right? So when you moved to Germany, you were like, okay, I need to take this fitness and exercise thing with me. And then building, okay, now I need to learn nutrition. And slowly you started coming out of your bunker of doing things alone and asking for help and getting a gym buddy, your friend in Germany who you worked out with on the track. And I think that's where you could take it back to be like, that's where I started learning the building blocks on how I'm going to be able to live this life that's in consistent flux, is by learning what these pillars are in my life that I need to take with me no matter where I go, which I think is so helpful to hear from your story so that people can start to maybe apply that to theirs if they're feeling lost. Once you've got the knowledge, were you able to just shake it off and be like, okay, here's my path?
I seek information. So now I fully learned how to be a student for life. And that goes in any realm. Just because you think you're an expert in some way, shape, or form, you can bet your bottom dollar there's somebody out there that knows more than you, does it better than you already. And instead of saying like, go be with them, that is how you become better. That is how you learn and grow instead of just holding on to what was. Yeah.
Which is so true in so many aspects. The next piece is then you've got your health back, which I think then starts giving you that self-confidence to then be social.
Yeah.
So then you feel comfortable to get out of that bunker and meet people and look people eye to eye instead of keeping your chin down. Was it until you got to Texas, or do you feel like slowly over time? And then when you got to Texas, it was kind of like the pinnacle of it?
Texas was truly the pinnacle of it, because even in the few months that we lived in Virginia before we moved to Texas, we lived on base because we were only there for 6 months, and I didn't really do much. All of my friends were long distance. We had family nearby, and so we would see them, but I did not go out of my way. I went to the gym a few times while we lived there, but I was very much a homebody for those 6 months. And I kind of was in this like limbo waiting stage of, I knew we were moving. I'm not even participating in whatever is here. I'm waiting until we move. And so when we moved, I did come to Texas with this mindset of, I truly want to love it here. And I want to be happy here. And I want this to be the season of me, because I hadn't had that before. Even living in Germany, I kind of got a little bit of it, but truly was still learning who I was outside of being a wife and a mom. So coming here was the pinnacle for me.
When did you start getting really active on social media?
It was in November of 2021. Reels were kind of still a little bit new on Instagram. And I was like, oh, those are kind of fun. And I was dabbling in it for a little while. And it kind of is funny because I was very regular on social media for 2.5, 3 years before it really became a thing for me. It was more of small network, small social media account. And then the day that we moved, we were driving from Georgia to Texas, and I checked my Instagram, and my little notification bar at the top was 100, 100, 100, like likes, comments, follows. I'm like, that's obviously a glitch, And
You're like, it's normally 10.
Maybe 10. It was like 2. Obviously, that's Instagram's on, that on something today.
Yeah.
So I clicked it, and sure enough, it was just all these notifications. And I was puzzled, honestly confused. What is happening? And so I had been extremely consistent for 2.5 years, and I posted one random reel that absolutely blew up. And it's probably at like 13 or 14 million right now, but it grew my account within the span of 2 weeks. I went from 2,500 followers to 70,000 followers. And
Wow.
it just 100% blew my mind. And it almost felt like a divine timing thing, which kind of is cheesy, corny.
You're moving to Texas.
Yeah.
All the stars are aligning. Everything's happening for you on this road trip.
Yep. Yep. We're getting you set up before you even get there. And that's it felt like that because I did come to Texas. I came in this move with this super open mind. I want it to be the season of me, and I want to like love where I'm at. I want friends. Like, I am such a do life with people type of friend. I don't like, oh, if you want to come to dinner in 2 weeks and hang out for 2 hours and then not see you again for a month. That is not what I do. I like to just
Get in the
generally
weeds.
do life with people. Hey, I'm going grocery shopping. Great. I need stuff too. Let's go together, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just had this like vision of what I really wanted it to be here. And, I run my business online. So then when my account blows up, it just like opens these like doors in my mind of, wow, okay, it just all felt very aligned.
In that timeline, is it safe for me to say that Lacey's your best friend?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So when did Lacey come into the picture? Because she's here in Texas.
Yeah.
Did that happen on that same drive, or was that before or after?
So I actually followed her before, and it's kind of funny. So we had lived here for maybe a week, and I messaged her. I was like, hey, pretty sure we live super close to each other. She was like, where are you at? Yep, you're literally right down the road from me. There's this soccer camp at this school if you want to send your kids, get them into the community. And my kids have never been with anyone anywhere to do anything. And then I'm leaving them in the state we just moved in 2 weeks ago, maybe less than that, to be honest. I don't know if we even had our house fully unpacked.
I'm just dabbling in this friend community.
Yeah, we're just full sending. And so I signed the kids up for this soccer camp. Later on, I told Mitch, and he's like, what? Well, they're signed up, they're going. And I met her there. And then she also runs her business online. At the time, we were in two separate businesses. So we were just kind of friends on the down low, just because the optics of it, if you know, it's just like a weird vibe sometimes. And then I ended up making a huge business pivot and reached out to her and was like, hey, I'm ready to full send this whole thing and I need your help. And here I am, So
what a difference for you from being the girl who just puts her headphones on and puts her hoodie up to then reaching for help and putting yourself out there.
Yeah. It was definitely a different story from a few years ago me. I would have never done that.
Right.
Because it almost felt like, okay, you have to take a step back. You need to go here and ask somebody else now. And that was not something I was ever comfortable with doing before. So through that, we got along the whole time. There were times we would see each other. And when she listens to this, she's going to laugh because there were times I totally did ghost her.
The old you came back. The hoodie headphones version of you came.
I was like, oh, that's scary. Ghost. And so when we would go to the same gym and she would walk into the front doors and I'm up on the Stairmaster. But I also, because of that, it was like comfortable to reach back out to her. Kind of a tail tuck for me a little bit,
Yeah.
When you find a friend that you feel you have truly known forever, our kids instantly clicked. We instantly clicked and it just worked beautifully. It's kind of crazy when either one of us talks about life when we were, 18, 19, 20, 25, whatever. It's like, how are we not there for that? Because it truly feels we have known each other forever. And it's a beautiful thing.
There's a song by Maddie and Tay called Strangers that I feel like you guys would love because it talks about that. Like,
okay.
Now that we are where we are, I don't even realize how were we ever strangers at one point and missed it, but we're brought into each other's lives at the right point because you were ready and open to it. The point that we want people to get to understand through a little bit of today when it comes to adult friendships is it's worth the work, it's worth the risk, and you can find strong, amazing friendships in your 30s, 40s, 50s, but it's going to take a little bit and a little trial and error because I know there was some other friends along the way that, you know, didn't make it through.
And the greatest power you can give yourself is being okay with that, knowing that sometimes people are there for a season and some people are there for life. Sometimes you think people are there for life and it reveals itself that they're there for a season. And to accept that and know that it is okay for that to be true makes it a beautiful experience.
And to still put yourself out there again. I think that's the hardest part is after something doesn't work once, people are like, that's it, never doing it again. Where even with Lacey, it felt awkward. And then it was still both parties being like, no, we're going to work at this.
Yeah. And, you know, I think as women, many of us have experienced a friendship hurt. And then it kind of closes you off to the possibility of do life with type of friends. And you come from a place where you've both been hurt in different ways, some very similar ways, and you bring that to the table. You don't shy away from it. It's not a secret. I remember her knowing that I was leaving before we got extremely close. And her telling me I am so afraid to get close to you. I don't want to like you, but I do, you know, because it is choosing to break your own heart, coming back to that.
And knowing that I think you get used to, okay, I'm going to break my own heart. That's fine because I'm a military spouse, but I'm also going to break other people's hearts.
Hers, her kids, my kids, there's a lot involved in that dynamic. You know, for consciously go into building a relationship with somebody who you know you're going to be moving away from and you do daily life with them. It is a group effort to maintain that friendship because they know it's coming and so do you.
When you know a move is coming, do you notice yourself holding back or are you leaning into, I'm not going to do that to myself? From the outside, I feel you leaned in harder. You guys just started a best friend Instagram. So you were like, okay, we're going to solidify this. It's almost making it Facebook official back in the day.
It's in a relationship status, you know?
I think in the past, when you get that prepared to leave, you slowly start doing the ghosting because, that'll make it easier when the finality of us actually moving happens, where I think because you feel so strong here with us, with the gym. There are times where you'll miss class. I'm like, when do I lean in? We haven't seen you in a few days. I know you're eventually going to leave, but you're not gone yet. Stay in it. From outside looking in, but are you still kind of struggling with that and trying to catch yourself in that reaction mode?
Truly, no.
Good.
You know, before any other move, I do retreat, but this time feels so different. It's more like soak it all up, make plans for coming back and visiting. And it is not a separation. It is we're moving for a minute. But in the grand scheme of things, we will be back. We're not leaving for long. So while I'm still here, I want to be fully present for all of the things that I care about the most, you know?
I think being a friend, knowing that too, I'm like, okay, how do I get her rooted here so that they do come back and help
buy land.
Keep facilitating reasons for that, where I think before the other side of the heartbreak, do I really put effort there because is this really going to last, where it has to take that conscious decision from both sides of the fence to be like, no, we're going to stay friends. We're going to get you back here. We're going to communicate along the way because it feels good. Knowing that it may be a couple of times because we're busy, you're going to be in the throes of trying to establish your life and get into a routine out there. The thing that I've noticed the most in adult friendships is just the peace and gratitude and understanding of, hey, if we don't talk for a minute, it's cool. We're not going to beat each other up about that. We're just going to pick right back up. And I think that'll be the hard part for you is because you do get to do life so tightly right now.
Proximity matters. The saying of 5 people you surround yourself with, you pull and take characteristics from all of them. With that being said, location matters too. And when you're not in the same proximity geographically with people, the conscious effort that it does take to remain connected and to keep that same connection that you are leaving, it is the most intentional relationship ever. And I always say, because, you know, you have your husband, right? And literally the law is y'all are together. There is absolutely nothing that keeps you with a friend. Nothing. It is only ever a conscious choice. And when they are long distance, you take that conscious choice to the power of 10. Because sometimes it looks like FaceTiming while you're cleaning your house, or whatever it is, you're putting that person as a priority in your day-to-day life. And I mean, I, for one, just don't take that lightly, but it is also something that I make sure I do, because it is the way that you maintain a relationship. And, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm pretty damn good at keeping long distance relationships. I've done it my whole adult life.
And you've done the work
Yeah.
to realize when you don't put the effort in.
What happened?
So now you know that you have to be intentional. I think maybe too for your kids, because they've established good friends here and you don't want them to lose that either.
Yeah, 100%. Again, keeping that open dialogue of what it is, how you're feeling, how to keep it going, and planning trips. There's airplanes for a reason. Use them. As much as we plan, weekends here, weekends there, like when it's a priority, it shows and it shines.
The hard part for adult friendships and why people let them die is because of that friend hurt and expectation. And people, whether it's a marital relationship or any sort of relationship, I don't think people talk enough about their expectations for each other and the graces that are given. My strongest friendships that are long distance is because we both have the understanding of, hey, I know you're going to get busy. We may not be able to catch each other, but being able to then not beat each other up for the fact that life just happens, especially for you being a single mom.
Yeah.
So those barriers to entry are usually proximity, understanding of expectations. And so I think taking that into this next phase with everybody and being intentional about having those discussions, setting those expectations, and leaning into the intentionality of connecting.
First and foremost, let's not forget a friendship is a relationship. It is not an intimate relationship. It is not a marriage, but it is a relationship. A relationship takes effort on both ends for it to work and for it to happen and manage and flourish and so forth and so on. And having open expectations is important. But so often it's like, oh, they're my friend. They should be there for me. Do they know?
I hate that should work.
Yes. Do they know that you want them there for you? Have you communicated where you're at? Do they know you're sad? And again, just with Lace and I, if I'm having a bad day, I tell her I need some TLC today, and she'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
And
shoot off the flares.
Right. And it's like, okay, I know where you're at now. I know what you need from me as a friend now. And it's the same thing in marriage. You wake up, babe, I am not in a good mood today. Okay, now he or she knows how to
adjust,
approach you for the day, right? Or check in with you later. Hey, is your afternoon better than your morning? Whatever it is. And it comes down to communication, truly. I mean, it's the foundation for so many things. And if you don't have effective communication, you're not going to get anywhere. And again, treating that friendship like a working relationship is the difference. Your friend isn't your friend just because they're supposed to be. It's a relationship you work at and you build and you create.
Phrase I like to use is, my busy is not more important than you're busy. We're allowed to both be busy.
Yeah.
Just letting people know when, hey, I'm in a season of busy. I do miss you, sending love and light, setting that expectation of where everybody's at.
Right.
And without that, then everyone's just sitting in their own assumption that allows for anger and resentment and then loss of that relationship, whether it's a marriage or a friendship.
Yep.
And I think the beauty of being a military spouse is you had to learn that for your marriage first. I had to do all my relationships, all the ones that mean the most to me, long distance. And now being able to be like, okay, I've had to do it this way. I can still do it in friendships too.
Yeah.
Is awesome. Now that we know that a move is coming, what would you tell your younger self in those first years of being deployed and being a military spouse and a young mom?
First, tell them, hey, the world is not out to get you. That there are good people and that there are people that want to help you and be around you and be your friend. And you're not awful. You're not just a mom. You're not just a wife. And people will like you. And I think that those are the most comforting words that, the 2013, 2014 version of myself could have heard, because though I didn't believe those things and I needed to.
And I don't think you felt you were worth taking care of too, outside of being a wife and a mom.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't have that feeling that I deserved more. If you would have told me you deserve more than that, I would have been like, no, I don't, which is sad, you know, I mean, it's sad, but
And people will tell you all the same things, but until you're willing to accept it, it just bounces off.
it does. You have to first believe it for yourself. In order for you to believe it for yourself, it's almost like you have to be around people that believe it first so that you can borrow that belief so you can kind of prove to yourself, I am worth this and I do deserve that. But if you're not around other people, you may not hear it.
Yeah. So tactically, now that you're moving, what are going to be the first things you do to kind of create pillars for yourself so you don't go back into the hoodie up, headphones on?
Yeah. Okay. So I am going to get into a community. I'm going to find a gym. I'm going to get, Harper back into gymnastics and let her find her groove with that and get Roman on sports teams. I'm going to connect into the community. And I actually have already started trying to like make strides. And I've asked my social media, hey, are you local to this place? Where do I go to work out? What's a good gymnastics gym? I've even asked you, hey,
Yeah.
help me find a gym like TrueFit because the thought of leaving and having to find a new gym makes me scared. I don't like that
You'll always
feeling,
come home.
but finding a gym that will feel like it's more than just going there and, lifting some weights and leaving, where you're going and you're in a class and you're laughing with your workout partner and you're standing in the lobby and talking for a dang hour after your workout and enjoying every second of it. It's not just a gym, it's a community. And so asking people here to help me find places that would you go here, and asking Harper's gymnastics coach, can you help me find a gym for her that looks like they're not going to drill her to death and will keep that same passion and love for the sport. Just stuff like that is what I'm doing now so that when I move there, I am not directionless. I have a direction. I can go and try places out, see what feels right, and doing that from the jump. Getting there and hitting the ground running. Once I get adjusted to this house, you just have to hit the ground running, because if not, you get complacent.
Yeah. Don't let the boxes just sit.
Right.
I think it could be easy for you too, because you're like, well, this isn't forever. We are moving back to Texas.
Yes. And one of the biggest metaphorical statement is hang stuff up on your walls.
We didn't do that because we moved a lot for our jobs too,
Mhm.
not as often, and Aubrey, the other part of the AIWA collective,
Yes.
she'd always be like, hang your stuff up. And we didn't. Even moving into this house, when we bought a home, it took a long time for us to hang stuff up.
Yep. Hang stuff up on your walls, stay a while, even if you're not staying a while, because it makes it feel like home and gives you roots within your own house. So go sign up for the gym membership. Go join that sports team. If you have to leave, you have to leave. As long as you do something while you're there and don't just wait it out, because waiting it out is miserable, it's lonely, and it doesn't do you any favors or anyone around you. If you want to take care of your household, your kids, your husband, you need to take care of you as well, because if not, they're getting a half-assed version of you.
I just realized a big missing piece is that on this next move, Mitch will be with you. So you won't have to be single parenting. So even if it does feel hard on this next one to find those pillars, you'll at least have your partner in this version. So that makes me feel at peace for you too.
Yeah.
As much as I'm sad that you'll be moving, knowing, okay, then they're going to be doing it as a family and she won't have to be carrying all of that by herself the whole time. And then, yes, you will be coming back.
And it's really great because actually this move for his work, this job that he's going to be working at while we're there, is very cush compared to what he has been doing. It's more 9 to 5.
Because he's earned that right. He's been in the military for so long, and he's a career military guy on his way to hopefully retirement in the next few years.
Yes, we have earned that very much so. And I say we because, I'm part of this shit show too.
Yeah.
But he will be home every night. Where he's going is non-deployable. So in the span of us being there, he will never deploy. So just that safety net feels so nice for not only me, but for the kids. And then by the time we come back, he's almost gone and done with the military. So this is truly the home stretch, and that is what I'm holding on to in this move. After this move, there's one more and it's back to where I want to be. And then
And how cool that something that could have been looked at as, oh, that's not the deployment that we want, became where your forever home is. because you were willing to put the hoodie down, take the headphones off, look around, and reach out and build community.
Yeah. It is an incredibly beautiful blessing in my life to have people and have community. And there's different pockets of community that I have, and still they all kind of intertwine in a beautiful way. And it's the walking into the grocery store and seeing people I know and feeling like I truly have a home within a location, but within a community as well.
I love that. I'm
Yeah.
sad you're leaving, but I'm so excited for this next chapter, and hopefully other families going through similar situations will be able to take pieces from this and start building strong friendships and take their health into consideration when you are doing that single parenting. It's easy to just want to be in that survival mode, and hopefully they'll be able to follow your story and reach out. I know that you are active with your community on your social media. They can ask for help, even if it's
me anytime.
Yes. We love to finish out or round out the show with asking you what you're currently going all in on in this season.
Currently going all in on stability in my life, even when it's being uprooted. And I think that that is the best way I could put it, is being stable even amidst chaos, which sounds like a contradiction, but it's stability from within, emotional, physical, mental, financial, all of those things carry to wherever I go. So stability.
Does stability look like for you? What does going all in on stability look like?
It is creating solid routines. It is waking up every day knowing what my non-negotiables are. It is feeling like I have created a safety net in my life that even if a day doesn't go as planned, it doesn't completely derail me. And feeling peace within that. That is what it would feel like to me. Stability is built. You don't just fall into stability. You build stability intentionally.
Love that. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for coming on. If you are listening or watching on YouTube, if Jess's story touched you in some sort of way or helped you figure out how to be tactical or inspired you to get into a community, you can start with the AIWA Collective or reach out to Jess on social media. You can listen to more of our episodes on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And we'd love to see you and your comments on Instagram or anywhere you can leave a comment. We will have Jess back on in a while for our after show. So if there's something that you'd like us to go deeper into, or a question that you feel like we missed, or somewhere that we can help you, let us know. And we will see you next time. Thank you, AIWA Nation, and thank you, Jess.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the All in Wellness Approach. If the show resonates with you, please rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who are ready to live all in. Join the collective on Instagram at AIWA Podcast. That's at AIWA Podcast for tools, insights, and inspiration, and catch every full episode on YouTube. Your support fuels this mission and keeps the collective moving all in. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical, psychological, or professional advice. Always consult your doctor before changing your lifestyle.